They say that in today's world, calling someone without texting first is an act of aggression. But psychologically speaking, it might be the only sign of sanity left. In our modern digital etiquette, there is a sound that has transformed from a welcome invitation into a startling siren, the ringing phone. For many, seeing a name flash on the screen without a warning text is a violation. It screams urgency, it feels invasive. We have collectively decided that the polite thing to do is to type, to buffer, and to wait. But there is a resistance movement living among us. They are the people who, when faced with a complex story or a sudden pang of longing, do the unthinkable. They press the green button. The world often labels them as boomers, lacking social awareness, or simply intense. But what if the person who prefers to call isn't trying to invade your time, but rather is the only one trying to actually save it? What if their refusal to type isn't about technology, but about a deep psychological need for truth? Let's define this personality trait. We can call it high real-time presence. We live in an era of curated communication. When you send a text, you are the editor of your own life. You can type, delete, rephrase, and add an emoji to soften a blow. You have control, but the person who prefers the phone thrives on the lack of that control. They possess a vivid internal world that values the raw, unedited data of human connection. To them, the phone call is not a trap. It is an arena. It is a sanctuary of nuance. As MIT professor Sherry Turkle argues in her book, Reclaiming Conversation, we have sacrificed conversation for mere connection. We edit ourselves to be perfect, but in doing so, we lose who we are. The caller intuitively understands this. They know that joy doesn't come from the perfect lol received 3 hours later. It comes from the immediate, messy, and beautiful synchronization of two voices breathing in the same temporal space. I wasn't always this way. For years, I tried to play by the rules of the async generation. I engaged in the endless ping-pong of messaging. I would spend entire days carrying on fragmented conversations that dragged on from morning coffee until late-night scrolling. I thought this was staying connected. But there was a turning point, a moment of exhaustion where I realized I had been talking to my friends all day, yet I felt profoundly lonely. I was drowning in blue bubbles and gray text, interpreting silences, overanalyzing punctuation. One day, out of frustration, I just dialed. The panic on the other end was palpable for a second, but then something shifted. In 4 minutes, we laughed, we interrupted each other, we solved the problem, and we said goodbye. When I hung up, the silence in the room wasn't heavy, it was peaceful. I realized that by trying to be polite via text, I was actually keeping everyone at arm's length. I learned that hearing a voice is the only way to remember that the person on the other side is real. Psychologically, what separates the caller from the texter? It comes down to a comfort with improvisation. Texting is for the perfectionist, calling is for the jazz musician. The caller possesses a trait of assertiveness mixed with high emotional intelligence. They do not fear the awkward silence, they know how to navigate it. They are willing to risk stumbling over their words if it means getting to the emotional core of the matter faster. Studies in communication, most famously by Albert Mehrabian, suggest that a massive portion of communication is nonverbal, specifically tonal. The caller knows this instinctively. They know that text strips away the spirit, leaving only the skeleton of the message. They are not just seeking information, they are seeking the music of the relationship. Society often critiques the caller. Why didn't you just email? You're interrupting my flow. But let's look at the counter-argument. The stigma against calling is often a mask for social anxiety. We have convinced ourselves that we are too busy to talk, yet we spend hours doom scrolling. The caller isn't the one wasting time. In fact, the caller is the ultimate protector of time. By refusing to engage in a 3-day text thread that could be a 5-minute conversation, they are buying back freedom for both parties. There is a hidden value here. The caller is offering you their full, undivided attention, a rare and dying commodity. They are not multitasking while talking to you, they are with you. Why do they choose the voice? It goes deeper than just efficiency. It is about biological regulation. The nervous system, Our nervous systems are designed to co-regulate with others. We soothe each other through prosody, the rhythm and pitch of the voice. Texting offers zero co-regulation. The caller uses the phone as a tool for emotional stability, seeking the comfort of a human sound to ground them in a chaotic world. Control over clarity. Texting is a breeding ground for paranoia. Why did they use a period instead of an exclamation point? The caller eliminates the gap where anxiety grows. They prefer the certainty of the now over the ambiguity of the later. Emotional safety. Paradoxically, calling feels safer to them. It filters out the people who don't care. If you aren't willing to give me 5 minutes of your voice, are we really friends? Or are we just content consumers of each other's digital avatars? Let me ask you directly. Have you ever found yourself typing a paragraph, erasing it, typing it again, and feeling a knot in your stomach? Do you ever feel like you are performing a version of yourself for a screen? There is nothing wrong with you for wanting to hear a voice. You are not needy. You are human. The world tries to tell you that low contact is cool. That detachment is power. But I want you to shift your perspective. The person who calls is the brave one. They are the ones saying, I care enough about you to risk rejection in real time. I care enough to be awkward with you. The phone is not a leash, it is a bridge. And your desire to cross that bridge doesn't make you invasive. It makes you the heartbeat of your social circle. If we break down the preference for calling, we find 5 pillars of synchronous wisdom. 1. The death of waiting. Callers do not tolerate the 3 dots of doom. They kill the monster of uncertainty immediately. 2. Bandwidth of nuance. You cannot convey sarcasm, grief, or hesitant joy in a font. The caller refuses to let their emotions be flattened into 2D. 3. Solitude versus loneliness. Ironically, people who call are often better at being alone. Once the connection is made and the cup is filled, they can return to their solitude completely. They don't need the constant drip feed of notifications to feel alive. 4. Energy management. Introverts are often told to text to save energy, but for many, the mental load of remembering to reply to 15 texts is far more draining than one deep conversation. 5. The reality check. Trauma or anxiety often makes us doubt our relationships. A voice cuts through the doubt. It validates existence in a way a screen never can. Callers have dreams too, but their dream isn't about having 1 million followers who double tap their photos. Their dream is about being understood. Picture this, gazing out a window, phone to your ear, laughing at a joke that happened a second ago, not a meme that was forwarded from last week. That is the texture of life. We live in a hustle culture that treats communication as a transactional utility. Send the info, get the info, move on. But the caller knows that the fluff, the pauses, the tangents, the shared silence is where the relationship actually lives. Those who allow themselves to be called, who pick up on the second ring, are the ones who receive the deepest loyalty. They are the ones who get the full story, not the press release. We need to embrace a new concept, synchronous confidence. It is the ability to be good company to yourself, and therefore fearless in asking for company from others. If you are someone who prefers to call, do not shrink. Do not apologize for your intense desire for connection. You are not fragile. You are building a life that refuses to be mediated by an algorithm. You are choosing the messy, beautiful, unscripted human experience. So here's your challenge. Today, don't text HBD. Don't comment "miss you" on a photo. Pick up the device that has enslaved us and turn it back into a tool that liberates us. Call someone. Their voice is the only notification that truly matters.